So most of the people in cybersecurity, they think, okay, this job pays well and start with that. This is where the problem is because some jobs can pay you 50K, 60 or 70K, and some of them will pay you 150 or all the way up to 250K plus, depending. Where do you end up? And this is where one of the biggest problem you can make by selecting a job that can pay you at this time you think is good, but over the time it will be a underpaid job. So in this video, I'm going to break down all these roles. What are the 5 highest paying job in 2026? And what are those jobs are, the title, what certifications are required, what the career progression, and within cybersecurity, what are the different pillars. So let's get into it. And yes, and those who do not know and first time watching this video, if you can go and check my channel, I've been in the industry for quite a long time and putting a lot of stuff around cybersecurity. I've helped many professionals, and this particular video, we are just talking about some of the roles that I just mentioned, and then you can check my previous videos about SIEM, SOC Analyst, you name it. And then I will be break down the different roles in this video. So let's get into it and see what roles are there for you, whether you're a starter or already in the field of IT and wanted to transition to the role of one of the roles in cybersecurity. So here we have role number 1, SOC Analyst. I'm sure you must have heard about it all the time because this is one of the most common word or common job role available, and I've seen many people always hunting for this role. Hey, how do I get a job as a SOC Analyst? So for you to understand, if you're first time hearing or maybe new into the field, is security operation center analyst, where the job is pretty much as a starter you will be working in a SOC, security operations center. For people who know, there we also have a NOC, network operation center, but in a SOC operation center, you have a dashboard, monitor, you're watching alerts and threat 24/7, and you may even also have to work on the weekends. And that job is pretty much you are looking at detecting threats and responding to the incident before they become a disaster for any company. Think of this like a 24-hour police operation or a guard, but in a digital scenario. And many companies, they offer these services where these SOC analysts basically looking at threats, and then there's a mechanism for them to figure out, okay, what are the critical threats, priority 1 tickets and all that. So basically severity is important for those threats, and this is a whole different video topic can be done on that. What do they really do? And I have some playlists and episode as well. So what are the pays for this job in US? In US, I'm looking at from the data I have. You can see on the slide, I'm going to put the slide, but you can also do some research. They start anywhere from 74K to 110K per year, depending which location you are applying for and which company do you apply for. But that's the range from 74K, 100K in US. In UK, it's around 35K to 55K UK British pound. And in Canada, it will be Canadian dollar, 65K to 95K Canadian dollar. So to land this role, what do you need? Basically, you need to have some basic knowledge of IT, of course, which is you can get it done through CompTIA A+. CompTIA Security Plus is for security related concepts. And you may also want to have CISA, which is another certification. And of course, the hands-on experience required with the SIEM tool like Microsoft Sentinel. And you can find the link of Microsoft Sentinel, which I have put a more than 3-hour free lecture just for you to understand beginner's guide to Sentinel, which can help you. It's always good to have hands-on experience. So it's a very great entry point. And then you don't want to stay in this role for quite a long, because then you can easily jump up to a different role. So now we're going to go to the next role, which is the cloud security engineer role. And rule number 2, and this is the one exploding right now. Cloud security engineer, I've been talking about for many, many years. You can go and check my previous videos. And there is still a huge demand. Even the market is cooked, but companies are still moving to the cloud. We see data centers are diminishing it. Companies are moving the infrastructure to the cloud. They have been migrating, and as the market gets better, you will see more and more jobs in that area, especially with the AI workloads as well. So companies are moving to AWS, GCP, and Azure, and they need people who can secure their environment if there are any misconfiguration in those environments. And there are many areas, even within the cloud security, there is specialization, which will be a next video topic. But on a high level, you will be dealing with identity and access management, cloud security, and misconfiguration, compliance, data security, and all that stuff. And this is not limited. That's a very huge area where a lot of opportunity exists. And then this role is pretty interesting. And I used to be, and I've been on a number of projects as a cloud security engineer myself. So how much does it pay? Basically, in US, you will be making anywhere around 120K to 175, 80K, or in the range. That's the range. And again, it depends where you end up working at, whether you end up working at Microsoft, Google, or AWS. Maybe you end up working at one of their partners, gold partners, whichever, or maybe you're working in the consumer side, which is a private companies or along those lines. So it totally depends. And also which city do you work in, especially in US, salary range are different in New York City, San Francisco versus other cities. So that's also another factor because of the cost of living. So not necessarily you will get paid same as money someone who's making in New York City because expenses are different and all those things, which I just want to ignore now, but just wanted to give an idea. So how much is the salary range for UK? 65K to 90K British pound. And in Canada, it's going to be 100K to 145K Canadian dollars. And certification for that, of course, you need AWS Security Career Path certification. For Microsoft, we have SC 100 and Azure Security 500, which is very technical. AZ 500 is, and SC 100 is basic one, or CCSP, which is a Cloud Security Certified Professional. I think is from ISC 2 Square. So if you're already a SOC analyst, this is the way you need to go. If you have 2 years experience, I would highly recommend jump into one of these roles, and then you will see the difference. It's highly recommended and easy move up from your previous role to this one. Now, number 3, we are talking about pen test, which is a red teaming role. Penetration tester you might have heard of, or pen test, or ethical hacker. And then it's one of those areas if you like to break things. Companies hire people in their red team, and basically they find vulnerabilities, they write reports and help them fix holes. So imagine if a company is going to have a product to launch, let's say web app, application, AI app, you name it, a website. And before they go for production, they want to make sure there are no any bugs and vulnerabilities, because once they hacked, it's going to be a problem. So they have their internal team of hackers. So that's a pen tester, and they will make sure there are no bugs, no critical vulnerabilities into them. So they will do what is supposed to be in that job, write a report and give the recommendation. And once the application is free of any of these things, it can go live. So this is pretty important role. So in the US, how much you get paid? Anywhere 100K to 160K. Again, depends on your experience and where do you work. That's the important thing. But these jobs are usually what I've seen. Many of these roles are very all the time remote jobs. You don't really have to. And I've seen people working as a contractor, and they have multiple projects, so you can make even additional money as a consultant if you want to take that route, because you're not always doing that in a one company. If your company is very big and the company's job is just selling this service to their customer, then yeah, you will gonna be very busy. But as a consultant, you can also do that. So in US, 100K to 160K. In US, 55K to 85K, which is pretty decent in the UK. And Canada is also 85K to 130K Canadian dollar. Key certification you need is Certified Ethical Hacker, CEH, or OSCP, and which is a gold standard in that area. If you have OCP, your resume will be going to attract the interviewer. Takes time to get into. You need a strong foundation first. Don't skip the foundation fundamental. The reason there is when you are scanning those environment for applications, so you need to know the application background, and then what data you come up with. So basically, you also have to do the report writing. I've seen many penetration testing report, but they were actually a vulnerability scan report. That's the difference. So role 4, we are talking about GRC Analyst. That's governance, risk, and compliance. And you might be thinking of, if you're from engineer background, it's a checklist kind of role. But that's not the case anymore. It's changing from GR analyst, and then you can also be more of a technical, which can be a GRC engineer role. But the GRC analyst is not about hacking. You don't need all the hard skill. You're not doing any hands-on experience on firewall. You are not doing any configuration to implement multi-factor authentication, right? In that role, basically, you have to follow the best practices and make sure a company follows the framework. If they are using any strong password, okay, what's the length of the password? So where these things are coming from is coming from the framework. So you need to understand the NIST framework, and the most common one is NIST CSF, NIST Cybersecurity 853. You need to know. You also need to know ISO 27001. You need to have the knowledge of SOC 2 or SOC 2 type 2, right? So again, you can go even very deep technical, because these controls I've seen myself for high trust also 400 controls. SOC 2, I think type 2 has 300 controls. The list of the, so you literally have to understand. So again, as I said, you don't have to know how to implement it, but it's very wider and it's very broad area where you will have to look at, okay, how they are implementing encryption or data security. What are the controls around, as I said, over permissive privileges. Do they use multi-factor? Is the company having a proper documentation procedure for incident? If something were to have a strict incident, how would you escalate? So those are things are really being documented. So this is really good when you develop cybersecurity practices. So companies, when you work with, they are supposed to have all those. So that's the job of a GRC analyst, to go and doing a sort of an audit kind of thing, and you have to have that. So again, as I said, you can go more deeper into that, and the way that things are changing with AI. This is, in my opinion, as we see more uh, adoption of AI. Yeah, so analysts are required to make sure AI, the way it works, and this checklist is there to have the security guardrails around those projects and applications and the products. So in US, you are making around 95K to 145K, and not right, and 50K to 80K British pound, and Canada you make 80K to 120K. So, and the certification are required here is CISM, C-Risk, and CompTIA Security X. But CISM and C-Risk I would highly recommend, and I myself is a CISM certified. And then it also required a lot of soft skill in this job. It's not a hard skill job. You're not implementing any firewall, router, and switches or cryptography solution. It's a soft skill job. Means in GRC you have to do a lot of communication, a lot of email, presentation, reporting, and all that stuff. So again, who is someone who is good in that, with more communication, soft skill, presentation skill, this is a job for you. And last not but least, this role is new. We can see it evolving very soon. It's an AI security specialist. So companies are, as I said, we are talking about AI deployment, large language model. Companies are also, we have seen agentic AI. If you are following the news for Anthropic, and if you're following the news for OpenClaw, which is Moldbot, or Claude Code, which is using all agentic AI, and this AI talking to another AI and making API calls and self-service AI. It's a huge Pandora's box for the security gaps and exploit and vulnerabilities there. There is no um, permissions, and everything is open. Once you connect any agent AI to your email system, it can read all the email. So it's a very big challenge for the security, because your firewall can only see, okay, request is coming from one authentic and legitimate request, but firewall cannot see, okay, what is inside, because a legitimate username, password you provided, and that's it. As agentic AI talking to agent AI, so you provided the credentials or auth or secrets, whatever, but uh, you don't know what data is flowing through then afterwards, right? So those are the challenges there. There are, like, a prompt injection can be done to the LLM, and if the company is making their customized tools. So there are many avenues we're still seeing, and this role will be required with the specialized skill set. So this is still a new role, as I said, but companies, based on the research, is showing are willing to pay around 130K to 200K for this kind of role. And then in UK, you will be paid 75K British pound, 110K, which is, I think, the highest one in the UA based on this research. Of course, you can find out. In Canada, you can get paid 110K to 160K Canadian dollar. And certification that required are CAISP, which I will, of course, have this on the screen. Google AI Security Cert, and anything that cover OWASP, LLM top 10. Yeah, OWASP, LLM top 10. I put a video for OWASP top 10 for security. For LLM, they launched it. Maybe in the future, I can put that video. What is OWASP LLM top 10? Specific for large language model, means specific for open source model, because Anthropic and OpenAI, they already take care of that. But if you're using a Llama model or Mistral or any of those open source model, this is where your skill will be required. So if you want to future proof your career, this is one of the role in AI, as I said, is pretty promising. And cloud security engineer, as I said, is one of those related to cloud, is also important. So which role is right for you, basically? If you're just starting out new to this area, then SOC analyst is the way to go. And if you're already in the IT and thinking of transition, I think no, you cannot do better than moving to the cloud security engineering. This is what I did myself. And then if you are breaking into the problem solving and all that stuff, which I mentioned, if you like to break and hacking kind of stuff, then pen test is one of the roles. But that comes with a lot of hands-on experience and a lot of deep knowledge. And if you're strong in communication and soft skill, as I said before, GRC is the way for you to go to get to the six-figure salary. And if you want to be ahead of the game in the curve, as I said before, AI security career path or specialist is one of the area you definitely want to look into that. So the best is not what pays you high or high paying role, the one that matters you the most, your personality, who you are. This is important because cybersecurity sometimes can be have a burnout on you, and you want to select a role which you want to enjoy. So it's a very dry topic. It's a hard topic. A lot of studies required. So make sure your personality and something that matches your personality. Try to target that career path or role for yourself, because that's the long-term strategy for you to be successful in that career. So if this video helps you and you learn something, so generally I would recommend you to hit follow, subscribe, and help me grow this channel if you have not already. And you will find for the next few weeks more cybersecurity related topics and videos. And you can also check my one of the most famous one videos on SIEM and SOC automation, which has more than 70K view. So that's being said, I will see you in my next video, and drop me a message. Thank you so much.